Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. McCollum staying with him. Spins, gets inside. Left-handed off the glass. Oh, what a sweet move.
Giddy, tough spot. Backdoor. What a pass. What a play. And J-Dub picks the pocket of Trae Young. He'll take it himself.
This is Udart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested Podcast, coming to you live Sunday, October 29th, after the Thunder took on the reigning champion Denver Nuggets earlier today. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. I've got Justin Peabody with me.
Hello, everybody.
I've also got Taylor Peterson.
Gentlemen, it was not the best weekend for my favorite sports teams. Between OU losing to KU, TU got stomped by SMU, which wasn't quite as surprising, but was really embarrassing when you pull up the score. The Thunder game today, and the Chiefs lost to the tanking Broncos. So, you know.
Way to go, Taylor.
Also, my fantasy football team, not doing great. And actually, both of them are not doing great.
And our pets' heads are falling off.
Rough weekend for Taylor. We are brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. And we have a full show planned for you guys tonight. Before we dive in, though, want to give you guys a quick heads up on the next week of Uncontested Podcasting. We have tomorrow night, the Thunder take on the Detroit Pistons. Nick and Taylor will have that post game. They'll be jumping on a little bit later than normal, but they will have the post game for you. Wednesday, we have our regularly scheduled group podcast after the Thunder take on the Pelicans, which takes place, I believe, on TNT on Wednesday. Friday,
ESPN.
Taylor is with you after the first in-season tournament game.
It's not just Justin
Every
and I.
time.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's difficult. The Thunder will take on the Warriors Friday night. Taylor will have the post game with you on that one. Justin, I believe the Thunder are slated to wear the new alts Friday night.
They are. Word on the street is we're going to get to see them tomorrow.
Ooh, the debut.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the announcement.
Very cool. And then we're back here again next Sunday as normal. So make plans for all of those. If you don't already subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can catch all these podcasts live and interact in the stream. If you are not a YouTube person, you can always just download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. We're going to start off today talking about game number 3 of the Thunder season. Not a pretty one, as the Thunder lose to the reigning champion Denver Nuggets 128-95. And gentlemen, as far as a big theme for this episode or for this game, I think it's probably something along the lines of the Thunder just could not get anything going. Everything went wrong.
You guys were both there in person, right?
We
Yes.
were.
You
And
got to
for
witness
reference-
this firsthand.
For reference, more people there today than I ever thought would have been there.
That's awesome.
I went to almost every home game last year. If this wasn't more attended than any of the 41 last year, it's like top 3.
That's awesome.
And especially when you consider it's a Sunday, it's a matinee, and
Yeah.
it was, Taylor can attest to this, disgusting.
It was gross outside
Raining
and on the
35.
court. I will say I talked to a couple of Thunder, 2 different Thunder employees who work in sales. They both told me that it was a sold out game. They said any empty seat you saw was accounted for. That person just either didn't show up or whatever. It was on resale, whatever the case may be. It was considered a sold out game. And it certainly felt like it early on, Jacob. Like, well, for example, we were running behind because the little guy, it was his first Thunder game, which was really exciting. But
So it's his fault.
it is. I told him that. I said, look, Brooks, I'm glad you had a good time and you were really well behaved. And I'm so proud of
Gotta
you.
tighten that up.
But you're not welcome back for a long time. You're grounded. Kind of got close to his nap time when he would still be sleeping around 2:30. Long story short, we were running a little bit late. And so there was a ton of traffic. Like it was 2:20 and I'm like on Oklahoma City Boulevard trying to drop off. My mom was with me to walk Brooks in. And I mean, just almost impossible to get close to their arena. And then I finally was able to drop them off and then go and find my parking garage. And anyways, I could tell just then that it was going to be pretty packed. And then you got inside and you could feel the energy early on, to Jacob's point, but it pretty quickly evaporated, as we will get into.
The champs, man. They're the champs for a reason. And
They
I think
definitely are.
you got to see a measuring stick, and for me, that's what it was. The Thunder didn't play their best game. I think that's the bummer as a fan watching this. Like, you wanted to see how they'd play against the Nuggets, but you wanted to see like their A+ version of the Thunder. I think we got a lot closer to that in the previous 2 games. Neither of them would I consider like A+ games, but like they were really good. Today didn't feel like that quality of output from the Thunder. Add on to that the Nuggets are really freaking good, and that was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, just for reference, Nuggets shoot 60% from the field compared to the Thunder's 41.
Oof.
Nuggets shoot 40% from 3 compared to the Thunder's 19.
19.
Pretty even on free throws, 85% to 84%. The Nuggets had 48 rebounds to the Thunder's 29. Part of that is because the Thunder missed a lot of shots. There was a lot of available rebounds. Offensive rebounds 10-7, defensive 38 to 22, assists 34 to 22.
Total rebounds, I had 52 to 41 with those same. Well, yeah, no, that math doesn't work out. I'm not sure where that came from. Oh, yeah.
I have 48
CBS
to
Sports
29 on ESPN. Yeah, the Thunder just lost every single. Hey, the turnovers were better, only 10 turnovers tonight. But the Thunder just lost in like every spot and could not. The Thunder felt like could not get a shot to go. Meanwhile, everything Denver shot was going in.
Especially
Like,
Michael Porter Jr.
some
Dude, like in the arena.
Shots
Every
were
time
going
he
in.
touched it, it was just like, it didn't matter if there was a defender in his face or not. It just felt like that was going down.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jokic is another one. Anytime he touched it in the paint, there was just no answer, which is kind of a bigger theme. But my biggest theme, which kind of goes alongside with what Justin said, it felt like a really good barometer and maybe a sobering. I think you texted me that, Jacob, after the game, a very sobering game after the first 2 games for the Thunder and Thunder fans, to just show how far this team does still have to go to reach that ultimate level. I mean, this is a championship team playing at a championship level that we saw
missed
tonight.
a beat. They
haven't
awesome.
missed a single beat. And I agree with Justin completely. This was not the Thunder's best game, nor were they fully healthy. But even then, obviously still a ways to go. So I think that was a kind of a good thing to put to perspective early. Like J-Dub said after the game, it's kind of good that we got this team early in the season. Curious what that looks like later on in the season.
One thing that stood out to me that I was kind of surprised to have this reaction myself was that the Nuggets made the Thunder look small.
Mm-hmm.
Like that team is so big and not just tall. Like, so many times we watch the Thunder play a team and we're like, man, look at the long boys out there. Like, they have so much length that they can out-length anybody. But the Nuggets are the girthy boys. Like, they just look so thick compared to the Thunder.
Their front court is huge.
So you have Jokic, you have Aaron Gordon, even like Jamal Murray is not a small human being. Michael Porter Jr. There's just so many big bodies out
Peyton
there.
Watson's coming off the bench.
Yeah,
He's
there was a
big.
moment out there where it was like, oh, this is like when you watch a college basketball game and there's like one team that's all 5th-year seniors and one that's all freshmen. Like, that's what it felt like from a physicality standpoint. And I think you saw that play out in a lot of the stats. I think you saw it play out in a lot of the moments in the game. Some of the individual matchups, like even putting Poku out there, as crazy as it sounds, like he's a little thicker, got some tree trunks compared to Chet, and like he looked like he fit a little bit better. So it was just a really strong contrast, I think, seeing the two kind of like body types between these teams.
I think that's totally fair. They're not only is it the size, but it's the continuity. It's the knowing what everybody wants to do. It's having that rhythm. They really haven't missed a beat.
Like maturity too. Just you could tell it's a guys that have played in this league for a while.
I mean, there was one point where the Thunder had a lineup out there that was Vasa, Kaysen Wallace, Usman Jang, J-Dub, and Isaiah Joe. Like,
That was
That's-
a crazy line.
That's 2 rookies, 2 sophomores, and Isaiah Joe.
With no true big out there either.
You know, that's
that's a great point.
Not we're gonna forget it from time to time, but like the starting lineup has Shea and Lou, and then has a rookie, a second-year guy, and a third-year guy.
Yep.
Like they're still young. They're still
Very.
really, really, really young, and a mature team like Denver comes in. So I really got to thinking about this post game, guys, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on it. Is this just a, hey, it's a bad game, the Thunder didn't shoot well, it's whatever, move on? Is this more of a barometer game, or you see it and you think, oh God, the Thunder have a long way to go to get to where we want them to be? Is it somewhere in the middle? Like, are the Thunder really like 35 points worse than the Denver Nuggets? Does it make you second guess anything as far as like size and, as Justin said, like just this physical maturity and broadness, and like, oh, maybe Chet can't survive at the 5? Like, any of those thoughts enter your mind today, or are you chalking it up to it's game 3 of the regular season?
Is it fair to, I mean, again, always taking the gray area, I realize doesn't make for good podcasting.
Come on, Taylor.
X.com, you know, you gotta pick one extreme or the other and get the clicks, views, listens. I get it. I do think it is somewhere in the middle, though. The reason I say that, A, is because it's the 3rd game of the NBA season for a very young team, as you just described, Jacob. There's no reason to overreact, and I know that none of us here are going to do that. This is more so just kind of preaching to the choir, but there's no reason to panic here. At the same time, I think it is fair to show like what a true championship contender looks like. To your point, Jacob, what J-Dub said and what Mark said in the post game, like this is a championship team who hasn't missed a beat coming into the next season. And so this is the level of play, the consistency you have to play with to reach that level. And this young team obviously isn't quite there yet because they're very, very young and still experimenting, like we saw with a lot of the lineups. But I am kind of curious, maybe this is a good transition. Justin, you were nodding your head. So if you don't have anything to add,
I think that it's nothing to me. There's no like glaring concerns to me. I think I'm firmly in the camp of like, it's game 3. The Nuggets are really freaking good. They were the champs for a reason, and they pretty much ran it back. Right. And this Thunder team's integrating a lot of new people. They're super young. They're 35 points, actually 33 points worse than the Denver Nuggets right now. But like, play this out 82 games. Get to the playoffs, maybe that looks different, right? Like the Thunder, where they are now, is not to say that in 80 games from now, they're still 33 points worse than the Nuggets. I think there's a lot of evolving and maturing and growing that this team is going to go through this season, that by the end of the year, who knows? So if we're like looking ahead to a playoff scenario, Nuggets are the 1 seed, Thunder are fighting for the play-in, and they're looking at that 8 seed. Are you chalking it up as a sweep right now based off today? I'm not. I think there's a lot that can happen between now and then. A 7-game series is a long series. Like, I think there's opportunities where the Thunder are going to continue to grow from this, obviously.
I think that's fair.
It definitely outlines, like, you know, kind of where they sit in the pecking order right now, which is good.
Yeah. You misspoke earlier, Justin. You said there's the reason why they won the championship, and you went back and said there's a reason.
Yeah.
No, there's the reason. And the reason is Nikola Jokic.
Yes.
Freaking 8 today.
Yes.
I got the stats right here for him. Jokic had 28, 14, and 5, 12 of 16 from the field. And here's the thing. The Chet haters online are going to have a field day. I love what Sam Vecini put on Twitter today.
Yes.
You see what that dude did to Anthony freaking Davis 2 games ago?
Exactly.
Made him look like a little boy.
Shout out, Nick.
I thought
Just
Chet did everything he could, which leads me to the next part of this that I wanted to talk to. And Taylor, maybe you can jump in a little bit here. What are some positives that came out of this one?
Sorry, I interrupted both of you all, mainly because I thought we were about to move on from the game. I was like, no. I think there's like some big themes though, outside of just some big takeaways outside of our big themes that are worth mentioning. Now the positives, Jacob, I think both of you all will agree. Something we talked a lot about. I mean, Cason Wallace comes in today. Maybe is the bright spot for this Thunder team on a very dreary day,
I've got
not just
two,
outside, but on the court.
I've got 2, but Kaysen just wow.
Yeah. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 from the floor again, 1-1 from 3. Continues to have a 90% free throw, 90% 3-point shooting percentage, which is pretty fun to keep track
Sustainable.
of. But look, leads the bench in minutes, 21 minutes off the bench.
But before you dive a little bit more into Kaysen, Taylor, you were listing off his stats and stuff there. Blocked a Jamal Murray turnaround J.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Tied up Reggie Jackson on a drive, and just generally against guys that are NBA vets, held his own defensively. I want to make sure we mention that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're exact. Like defensively, immediately making an impact, which we kind of hope to see, but it's extremely encouraging to see it through the first 3 games of the regular season. And even more so, game 3 against the defending champs that we've already talked so much about. On the offensive end, Jacob, to your point, obviously is making the right plays, making the right reads. In that dunker spot where he's cutting back door, we've seen so many Thunder players really thriving in. Kaysen's doing a great job at. But one play in particular, and I don't have this memorized. It was something that my dad kind of elbowed me. He was like, watch this. And it's Kaysen. I think Chet passed it to him down low, towards the end of the first quarter. There's 3 defenders down low because obviously Denver's packing the paint. Something else we can get into. Somehow Kaysen's able to just weave his way between 3 different defenders at what is he, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", with that long wingspan's able to go up and finish around the rim. I mean, it's just incredible what he's doing and contributing already. And I think it's telling that he led the players off the bench 21 minutes. I think that was a huge bright spot for me.
Yep. I think for me, on the positive side, we talked about Chet in the matchup with Jokic and how Jokic dominated, right? But he does that to everybody. He did that to AD. He does it to Joel Embiid. There's nobody safe from Jokic. On the flip side, we've got a couple of people in the chat calling it out as well. Chet on offense was pretty solid tonight, especially the beginning of the game. That was fun. Chet came out very aggressive. Had some moves at the basket, had some 3-pointers. He was in his bag, kind of showing off some of what he could do. And I think doing it against Jokic, not that Jokic is known as this lockdown defender, but he's still the MVP and they're still the champs. Chet was not afraid of the stage. And I think that's something we've always known about Chet. And this was kind of one of the first opportunities we got to kind of see it of okay, you're in a big opportunity. He went out there and did some stuff and you could tell he wanted to kind of lead the charge to start this game. I think that's a definite encouraging sign. He is never going to shy away from the smoke.
One of the biggest surprises for me so far this season has been Chet's offensive play.
Yes.
I wouldn't say he's underwhelmed me defensively. I think it's interesting that in 3 games, there's only one of those 3 that he's registered a block in, and that one he got 7. He got 0 tonight. He got 0 in game 1.
Yep.
I think that's kind of interesting. I did not expect the offense to be this far along at this point.
Especially after what we saw in Vegas, right?
Impressive.
Yep.
I mean, he had some baskets tonight down and around the rim. He's hitting a pull-up 3. He's got this strange little short roll floater that he'll hit after going off the pick and roll. The offensive bag is there, man, and it's just going to continue to get better and better and better. I've been really, really impressed with Chet offensively and Kaysen just all the way around. Not to end us on a negative note, I do feel like we need to talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 2 of 16, only 7 points, did have 7 assists and 4 rebounds, no turnovers, which is nice. But guys, maybe the worst performance I've ever seen from Shai in a Thunder uniform.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that if you're looking for a reason for the Thunder struggle, it starts with Shai, right? We saw the first 2 games what he could do and how high the Thunder can go when Shai's in his bag. The opposite is still true, right? Shai is the alpha on this team. As he goes, the Thunder will go. I don't think they're at the point with the supporting cast where they can go off and rattle off many wins where he goes, what was it, 2 of 16. Is that what you said? Yeah.
2 of 16.
Where he goes 2 of 16. That they're not going to win many games yet. Eventually, I think they'll get to that place, but they're not there yet. So I think it's tough. It's probably tough for Shea. I'm sure he wanted to come out and ball out a little bit. Same thing there, though. Like just like the game in total, there's no alarm bells that need to be sounded because of Shea's performance today. There's no like, oh, guess he's not a superstar after all. Like it happens. It's one game. Look at Dame tonight, right?
Right.
Dame played like crap as well. It just happens night to night in the NBA.
So Shea's streak of 75 straight games with 10 plus points and 37 straight games with 20 plus points was broken today, which is kind of wild to think about.
That's
and
awesome
the last
streak.
time he scored 7 was in a Thunder jersey, was his first year with the Thunder, his sophomore season when he played with Chris Paul and Schroeder back in 2019. So it was the first part of that 2019-2020 season. But to your point, Justin, just for some perspective, this is from a Harrison Wind who covers the Nuggets. Anthony Davis was held to 6 of 17 shooting by the Nuggets. Desmond Bane, 4 of 17 shooting by the Nuggets, and now Shea of 2 of 16. So kind of a theme amongst star players playing against this Nuggets team. To your point, Justin, nothing to be concerned about, but yeah, it is fascinating.
4 free throw attempts for Shea tonight after
he
2
was getting
on Friday.
Hacked.
I saw a stat earlier that Shea is leading the league in drives so far this season with 50 plus. The next closest player is Luka with 33. I would expect the free throw numbers to climb.
Yeah.
I would expect the free throw numbers to climb.
I hope so. It almost seems like he got to the line so much last season. It's like the NBA, like, I don't know. The refs are like watching out for it. Like, hey, he shouldn't be getting to, I don't know. I thought he was getting absolutely hacked. Like there was a play. They showed it on the replay on the brand new big Jumbotron, Jacob, which is really nice. But where he, like after the play, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Peyton Watson. Like after the shot came down and just absolutely smacked him across the face and like poked his eye again.
Yep.
And it's just like, how is he not getting these calls? I don't know. I agree. I hope we eventually see that as well. I do have 2 like quick fire negatives. Just really quick with no thoughts. I am curious when I say them, if either of you want to jump in on them. The first one being Josh Giddey. He was a little better tonight in the sense that he had more points than Shea. It seems to me that Josh is really trying to find his fit within this team these first 3 games. And he also is not really leading the second unit like he was last year. Mark has kind of given that reign to J-Dub. And I'm kind of curious to watch that moving forward. I think lineups will be tinkered with. We'll see that change. But I really think Giddey is kind of struggling to find his footing and kind of where he fits within this team, as expected early on.
It reminds me a lot of Josh Giddey at the start of last season.
Yep.
And I pulled this. I wanted to share it with you guys. Quick trip down memory lane. Game 1 last season, Josh had 14, 11, and 4. That's points, rebounds, assists. 14, 11, and 4. Then he had 19, 12, and 6, which is a hell of a game. After that, 10, 2, and 5. Had 3 inactives. Came back, went 7, 10, and 1. 16, 1, and 5. 15, 6, and 2. 9, 6, and 2. And after about game 10, you really saw Josh really start to come alive and take off. Took about a month. It feels similar to me. And there's still a lot of feeling out. Chet changes so much. Figuring out rotations, figuring out what everything is like. I feel like Josh is trying to be way more aggressive. And in so doing, he is playing a little out of control. The Josh stuff is interesting. I'm giving it till at least Christmas.
Agreed.
It's just
20 game sample size.
It's going to take time to gel, and that's okay.
Yep.
I was curious your guys' thoughts on that. Sorry, Justin.
No, I was going to say similar. I think that it's also, like you said, a different role. Last year, right, the emphasis was like, can him and Shea coexist? Like that was the number one question. And I think it was like figuring that out. This year, like you said, it's if he's focusing on that starter role and less like, I'm going to start, but I'm really going to lead the second unit. I'm going to play against, coexist with Shea a little bit, but I'm kind of going to lead the second unit. This year, it's very much, I'm a starter. I'm going to play mostly with the starters. like you mentioned, Jacob, I thought was great with Chet. Like, we've got to integrate Chet into this thing as well. It's just a totally different dynamic all around. I'd say more so than many of the other guys. Like, Shea's role's not changing drastically. Lou Dort's role is not changing drastically. Like, J-Dub's getting a bigger opportunity with the second unit, but like Josh is getting really kind of pulled back and forth on this a little bit. So I think it's right to expect an adjustment period.
Yeah.
And then one last thing that I didn't want to, that you mentioned earlier, Jacob, that I didn't want to neglect before we move on. I know we're going a little late here, but is Chet Holmgren in this role that he's currently in? What does that look like if Jay Will is healthy or Kenrich Williams is healthy? Is he better off being that defender like Mark Daignault described in whatever article that was preseason about him kind of being more of the forward defensively, right? And the help defender down low, going in and swatting shots compared to the main defender on a guy like Jokic. Obviously, nobody's going to be a great defender on Jokic, but what does it look like tonight if the Thunder have Jay Will and Kenrich Williams healthy, and or does it really matter? Do they need to go and find another big? Like, why didn't we see Olivier Sarr tonight? These are just kind of some random thoughts that were going through my head when you mentioned that earlier, Jacob.
That's fair. And I think this game does look different if Jay Will and Kenrich are back. I hope they are back soon.
Agreed.
Last thing I wanted to mention just real quick was great bounce back game from J-Dub. 13 points on 6 of 9 from the field. Only got 1 free throw, but had 3 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, and no turnovers. I thought a much better game from J-Dub than Friday night in Cleveland.
Agreed. Only thing I would add there is just I almost want to say, again, this all comes back to super small sample size. Want to see this progress as we get deeper into the season. But I would like to see J-Dub take on a bigger scoring role and be more aggressive and assertive. I think he should have way more than 9 shot attempts.
It's going to be interesting to see. Gentlemen, let's take our first break of the night. On the other side, we have a little game we're going to play, kind of previewing these first 3 games in the beginning of the Thunder season. We will be right back. And we are back. So, guys, in order to recap the past 3 games, talk about the beginning of the season and some stuff maybe we're looking forward to as the season progresses, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. And I came up with a little game that I want you two to play. We'll see how it goes. I was struggling for a name with it. We have some fun segments with some fun names. I was struggling with a name for it. I almost wanted to call it the like the Goldilocks game, because we're gonna have like one
not too hot, big, not too cold.
Yeah. So this game is too high, too low, and just right. Okay. The way it works is I'm gonna give you some stats in pairs, not in pairs, but in threes, in triplets. I'm gonna say stat 1, stat 2, stat 3. They all kind of have a theme to them. And then I want you to choose which one of those things is too high right now, which one of them is too low, and which one is just about right for how you think the rest of the season will go. Make sense?
Love it.
I like it.
Easy enough? I figure as we do each one, we can kind of chat about them a little bit, give some context. For the listeners at home, they have not seen my stats yet. And for those watching the live stream, we'd love to get your guys' comments on your thoughts on which ones are too high, too low, and are even and should be where they're at. All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
First one is all about the team as a whole. I want you guys to choose which stat is too high, which one's too low, which one is about right. It's the shooting splits. The team as a whole is shooting 47% from the field, 39% from 3, 82% from the free throw line. Which of those is too high for what you think it's going to end at, which is too low for where it's going to end at, and which is just right? Again, that's 47, 39, 82.
They're all too low, obviously. Isn't that right, Taylor?
Agreed. Agree completely.
My initial reaction is that the field goal is too low, the free throw is just right, and the three-pointer is probably too high. I think that as much as I would love for this team to shoot a cool 39% from three, like for the whole season, like that would be phenomenal. Probably doesn't stay there. 47%, that feels like it could go up. Especially if they can find Chet as he's crossing a wide open lane at some point in the next 80 games, which I have faith that they will.
True.
I think that helps. And free throws, like you keep that bad boy around 80 and I'll be a very happy man.
For reference, their field goal percentage, the 47.1, is 11th in the league. The 3-point shooting, 39%, is 6th in the league. The free throw shooting at 81.8 is 6th in the league.
Okay.
Solid all around.
That's hard to disagree with Justin. I was trying to pull it up, and for whatever reason, when I go to NBA stats, you click on the Thunder or stats, go to Thunder, click on stats, it just refreshes, even though every other team's does. Give me those numbers one more time, Jacob, just to make sure I have this.
Someone get Taylor a notepad.
47 from the field, 39 from three, 82 from the free throw line.
Is it weird that I think that the 3-point percentage could go up?
Yes.
That's kind of bold.
I
like it, though.
See it. Again, it's not going to on the season. At the end of the year, we're going to come back and say the Thunder shot better than 39% from the floor. I think they're going to be stretches where the Thunder go on big runs, big win streaks like we saw last year. What was it? After All-Star break, they came out and like tumbled, but then they went on a big win streak when we thought they weren't going to after that, for example. I could see something similar because we're going to see Bertans get a stretch. We're going to see Isaiah Joe get hot. We're going to see this team kind of gel and rotations kind of come together. And I could see this team go on a stretch of like 10 games where they shoot above 39% from three. I think that's pretty heavily weighted towards that that first game against Chicago, which is why that percentage is so high. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of those Chicago-like games than we did last season, is my point. I don't know. Thought I'd throw something different out there than just agreeing.
I like it.
Love it. All right. You ready for stats number 2?
Yes, please.
Which one is too high, too low, and just right for what you think the season will look like? Theme on this one, Chet Holmgren. 15.3 points, 7 rebounds, 2.3 blocks. Which number is too high, which is too low, and which is just about right?
Ooh.
I'll let you go first, TP.
Almost wondering too low on rebounds.
Okay, the rebounds again were 7.
And then
points was 15.3. Blocks was 2.3.
2.3 blocks per game is pretty incredible. That feels just right. I think we had a bet about that, right at 2 blocks. So I'm going to call that one just right. And then it's hard to say that 15 points is too high for Chet. Like, this is a very unique one. I would actually push back on that a little bit, but if I had to pick
that's
one,
the whole point of the game, Taylor.
I know. Then give me the too high for points, I guess. Maybe he ends up like 14 points, something at the end of the year.
Okay, so too high on points, too low on rebounds, just right on blocks.
I agree on just right on blocks. I had a bet that didn't get used because we had like 7 Chet block bets, but I still have the stats pulled up. So 2.3 blocks last year would have him at 5th best blocks per game in the NBA, tied with Walker Kessler and Miles Turner. That's not bad company.
Nope.
Not at all.
And what's crazy about it, Jacob, is you mentioned it earlier. 2 of those games he's gotten 0.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a crazy stat. But I'm going to go with just right because I think it will even out. I think it might be feast and famine this season, but I think on the balance that feels attainable. I'm going to say 15.3 rebounds is too low.
You mean points?
Yes. Wow.
15.3 rebounds.
15.3
too low. 15 rebounds
is too low.
I like it.
What we've seen in these 3 games from his offensive bag has me feeling some type of way for what we're going to see from Chet the rest of the season because they still can't pass to him over the lane. That's now like the 3rd time we've referenced that tonight. Like once that happens and Chet starts getting like easy baskets to complement his dream shakes and like trailer threes, that number's going to go up. And I guess that forces me to say that the rebounds is too high at 7, which makes me sad. We'll say it's a 6.9 for the rest of the way.
Okay. For the
Very
record, Chet is averaging 9 shots a game. We might need to get those numbers up.
Yeah,
True.
yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Next one. I need to know which stat is too high, which is too low, and which is just about right for where you think the season shakes out. Theme on this one, SGA. The stats are 20 field goal attempts, 3.7 3-point attempts, 3.7 free throw attempts.
Ooh.
I'll start this one. Free throw attempts way too low.
That's
Gotta go up.
Thought I'd give you guys some low hanging
the
fruit on
easy
this one.
Yep.
That's the easy one. 20 field goal attempts feels just right to me, and 3.7 3-point attempts is a little high. Not a lot. And I think just based off what we've seen from him, like he's seemed more aggressive about going to the three. I'd be surprised if that sustains through the entire season. I think with the players this team has on the roster and his ability to get to the basket whenever he damn well pleases, I think that number probably goes down.
I agree with that. Very hard to disagree. To your point, Justin, I kind of see maybe we see more like three field goal attempts per game for Shea this upcoming season compared to last year, but it's not going to be dramatic. And I think ultimately he's going to go back to the bread and butter, especially if he has improved 3-point shooting and spacing around him, like we've already seen throughout this small 3-game sample size. So I agree with you.
I would almost push back a little bit and go free throws are too low.
Mm-hmm.
Field goals are too high.
Okay.
And 3-point attempts are just about right. Like if he was at like 18 field goal attempts a game instead of 20, and you siphon some of those away for like Chet.
Yeah.
And then you kept him shooting like 4 threes a game. I'd like to see 5 or 6 threes a game. That's just me personally. Opens up the floor a lot more. Be more of a spot up type of guy as well. But I think it's an interesting one.
It is.
Let's move on to the next stat set. This one is all about Josh Giddey. So which is too high, which is too low, and which one is just about right? 11.7 field goal attempts a game. 34.3 3-point percentage. Wait, is that right? I need to recheck that.
Sounds right,
I think
to be
right.
honest.
It feels right.
It feels right.
34.3 for Josh. I'll recheck in just a moment. And then the last one, minus 3.7 for his plus minus on the season.
Yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and take those. Well, not quite, but too low for his PER there. I think eventually, as you guys kind of alluded to in the first part of the podcast when we were doing the breakthrough of this Nuggets game, I know we were going long. I presented the question. I didn't want to dive into it too much. I do think Giddey will find his footing. I'm curious what it looks like, though. I'm not sure necessarily it's going to look.
Sorry, just to re-clarify.
Yep.
It was 34.3 field goal percentage. He's 50% from 3 right now.
Oh my
34.3 is the field goal percent.
Oh man. Okay.
So
well,
11.7 field goals, 34.3 field goal percent, minus 3.7 in his total per game plus minus.
Yeah, I think that efficiency rating has to go higher, and I think it will. He'll eventually find where he fits within this flow of the offense, and I think he'll be very effective at doing so. That gets really tough now. So I think too high is probably his field goal attempts per game there. That could be a little bold given Josh Giddey and the player that he is. I get it, but I think to Jacob's earlier point, being very aggressive right now, going to the rim, but it almost seems with like not quite within the flow of the offense, especially if you want guys like Check any more shot attempts, J-Dub, etc. I think that one might be a little too high for me. So that would mean that just right would be that 34% field goal, which feels really low. And if that's just right,
he's shooting 34% from the field.
Yeah,
he's not
we're
playing
in trouble. Exactly. So I don't like that, but that's what I'm left with.
Yeah, if he shoots 34.3%, his theme song at the Paycom Center is going to be "Deads" by Migos.
I don't like any of these choices you presented to us.
Yeah.
I think
either
these
too
all
high
feel
or too low.
Yeah, I think these all feel too low.
Even the field goal attempts?
11.7? I'd like to see a couple more shots for Giddey. But if you make me follow the rules,
That's what I'm going to do. They are
I
rules.
will say 34.7 has to be the too low. Like you said, like that's the number that'll get you run out of town.
Yeah.
Especially in the 50s from behind the arc.
50%. One
crazy.
of
That
two.
means inside the
Oh,
arc.
he's only taking 2 3
No,
points.
he's taking more. I'm saying on per game average.
Oh,
He's
okay.
one of two.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Um,
That is interesting.
that's abysmal what he's doing inside the arc. If that's what he's shooting from behind the arc, so that number has to go up. I'll say minus 3.7 is, I guess, about right. That's not ideal either. That's not what you want. Losing points every time Josh Giddey's on the floor, and then 11.7 would be too high. Again, I'll cheat and say let's make it 11.6. I want to see him continuing to take shots. I want him facilitating and doing what Josh Giddey does, like finding the passing lanes. But I think that if he's a guy that everybody knows isn't going to shoot, I think that hurts the floor spacing. I think that hurts the offense. He's got to be able to take some shots. And
so ironically enough, Jacob, he's actually averaging 2 3-point attempts per game. So he is one of two.
One of two. Yep.
literally.
Quite literally.
All right. Everyone's favorite shiny new toy, Cason Wallace. That's our stat set. Next.
Too low, and too low. Next question.
Here are your 3 stats for Cason Wallace. And I know which one's too high, which one's too low, and which one is just right. Your stats are 19.9 minutes, 9.7 points, 1.7 3-point attempts.
Wow.
Once again, 19.9 points, 9.7 points per game, 19.9 minutes. I think I said points. 19.9 minutes, 9.7 points, 1.7 threes attempted a game. Which one is too high? Which one is too low? Which one is just right?
I'm going to say 19.9 is a little high. I'd be surprised if at the end of the season he's pulling 20 minutes a game routinely. I think that'll fluctuate and even out somewhere a little bit lower. I would say that the man, this gets hard.
I know.
The 1.7 3-point attempts, I'm going to put that as too low.
Okay.
I think early returns are impressive, so let's keep him firing. And then 9.7 points is too high, and that's why this is hard, is because those two numbers don't go together. So let's just have him come in as a 3-point specialist, I guess. I just outlined.
See, that's where I'm finding myself too, Justin. It's like 19.9 minutes. That feels high.
Yeah.
And if it's high, then like I can't say that 1.7 3-point attempts are too low in like less minutes than 19 minutes a game. I'm with you. That is very tough. 9.7 points though feels just right. I'm fair saying that, because if we're saying that the 3-point attempts need to go up during his minutes on less minutes, then he's probably going to have more than, if he makes 3 3-pointers, that's already 9 points per game. And we know how crafty he is around the rim, some of the self-creation that he's shown. So I think 9.7 feels just right. I'm good with that. 19.9, a little too high. 1.7, 3 attempts will go too low just because we kind of have to.
I think I'm going to go against the grain a little bit here, guys. I'm going to say the 19.9 minutes is just right.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been so impressed. Like defensively, they're going to love him. He's going to play because he can defend.
Nobody loves Thunder rookies more than Jacob.
Hey, I drink all the Kool-Aid.
If we could go back and just clip like early to mid-season reactions on Thunder rookies from Jacob in the past,
I'm high on all of them.
That would be an incredible
1,000%, baby. 9.7 points, maybe a little high. Maybe like settles at 8. And 1.7 3-point attempts, too low. Get him up to 2. He's not taking any difficult threes. He's taking like strictly catch and shoot ones.
Yep.
He's taking everything in the flow of the offense. He's not forcing anything. I love it.
Ooh, I like this. Give me some off the dribble queso threes.
Oh, I don't think we're ready for that yet. Your next stat set comes courtesy of Jalen Williams, J-Dub. I need to know which is too high, which is too low, and which is just right. 3 free throw attempts a game, 4 assists a game, 31.5 minutes per game.
Okay. So 3 free throw attempts per game. Is that right?
Yep. 4 assists.
4 assists and 34.5 minutes.
31.5 minutes.
I'm going to say just right is 34.5 minutes per game.
31.
I'm going there. Oh, sorry, 31.5. Which is why I went 34. Too low. Give me 34. No, the 31, that feels right. 4 assists, 3 free throws. 3 free throw attempts feels way too low for a player like J-Dub, who's driving to the basket like he does, especially if he's going to be the man running that second unit after Shea and Josh go to the bench. So for that reason, I think I'm going to go too low free throw attempts. And then
so
the
go
assists,
too high on assists.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Again, I'm stuck with it.
3.9.
I'm going to say
3.99.
Too low on assists. If he's running the second unit, I want to see that assist number go up. I want to see him facilitating more. Otherwise, like, give me some more Josh Giddey time with the second unit. Like, I want somebody in that's facilitating.
That's what I wonder.
Not just like, kind of differing up the play style with J-Dub out there. I'm going to say that the 31.5 is too high. We got young legs, but like, let's tap the brakes a little bit. I think like 29, 30 is more sustainable. And then 3 free throw attempts a game is just right. I think that would I like it to be higher? Sure. But I think following the rules, I think that
J-Dub hater Justin.
We don't need J-Dub living at the line. I think 3 is fine.
Okay. Last stat set. Our guy Lou Dort, the Lou Tang clan. You know which one of these is too high, which is too low, and which is just right. We've got 53.6% from the field, 43% from 3, 1.3 steals. Once again, 53.6% from the field, 43% from 3, 1.3 steals. Which is too high, which is too low, and which is just right?
I think 43% is too high for what, like, that'd be incredible if Lou Dort can do that for a season. I think that number likely comes down. I think 53.6%, there's a part of me that wants to say too low. My guy needs to be running to the rack every time and finishing 75% of the time. But I'm going to say that that's just right. 53.6%, like getting a lot of inside buckets, the occasional 3. If you can do it somewhere around where he's been, like that works for me. And then 1.3 steals is too low. I want to see that man putting more people in the torture chamber and getting his hands on more steals.
I wish I could disagree, but that's exactly what I thought when I typed that out while you were talking, Jacob. Do you have anything different?
I think you guys are on it. Hell of a start from Lou.
Yeah.
Very efficient.
Great.
Let's see if he can keep it up. Did you guys see J-Dub's Instagram post?
Yes.
Of the torture chamber, but a SpongeBob meme with the casket up. It says, "Okay, get in."
So good.
Before we move on, because we are done with Thunder Talk, we're going to do a little bit around the association next. But before that, we need an update on our season week-by-week predictions. Last week, myself, JD, Justin, and Taylor all went 2-1. Nick went 1-2. Kamiar went 1-2. So Kamiar and Nick are now at -1.
I think you all told me at the live watch party I went 1-2, and I was like, no, I thought I went 2-1.
I can't remember. Maybe you're making that up because you drank too much at the watch party, Taylor. I don't know. Too many Thunderitas. So we all are even. Nick and Kamiar are at -1 point because they lost 1 game. If they went 0-3, they'd be -2 points. That's kind of how this is working.
Makes sense.
To the fans, we are trying to decide some sort of payoff for the biggest loser this year. So if you have any thoughts, send them our way. We were thinking something like a donation to a charity or something like that, something that's worthwhile. So with that being said, it is time for this week's picks. There are 3 games on the slate. The Thunder have the Pistons tomorrow, Monday night. 24 hours from now, that game will be over. Pistons are 2-1 on the season with Cade Cunningham leading the way. He's averaging like 21 points and 7.5 assists a game. Really good year for Cade so far.
Really
Wednesday night, they have the Pelicans. Pelicans are currently 2-0. They have 3 guys that are really carrying that team: Zion, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. I think all 3 of those guys are averaging 18 plus a game. So it's truly a 3-headed monster there. And then Friday, the Golden State Warriors come to town. So all 3 of these games are home games. The Dubs are 2-1 after knocking off the Rockets tonight. Steph Curry is having an MVP level start. He's shooting something like 46% from 3 on 12 attempts a game, averaging like 33
Nuts.
points. He's stupid, dude. He is so good.
Insane.
Nuts.
So JD and Nick are not on the show tonight. JD went 2-1. You'll never guess what Nick guessed.
1 and 2.
1 and 2 for Nick.
That's actually
So-
a little optimistic for Nick.
I need the predictions. Taylor, you are first.
I actually, unlike last week when I apparently went 2-1, like I told you all on Friday, I actually am going 1 and 2 this week. And I think that win will come against the Pistons tomorrow night. For 1, I'll be there in person again, and would like to see a win. And 2, I think they really will bounce back. We saw the starters obviously get sat pretty early, just due to the score of the game. And I think they have a pretty bad taste in their mouths. I think they'll respond well. I'm worried about that Pelicans matchup. I think they'll present some challenges similar to how Denver did tonight for the Thunder. And the Warriors are the Warriors. That's the first game of the I almost said play-in, but the in-season tournament. I'm going 1 and 2.
That's fair. Justin, what do you got?
Give me 2-1 again. I think the Detroit game is going to be a lot of fun. I think the young stars in that game, the Cade versus Shea matchup, I think seeing Thompson out there is going to be a lot of fun. But I think the Thunder can pull that one out. I agree with you, Taylor. I would love to see them get that national TV dub against the Pelicans. But that's one where I could see, like, dude, the Zion, like, Chet battle is going to be it's going to be like that one meme. Was it Taco
Yes.
Fall and the, like, really short kid next to him in high school? That's what it's going to look like with Zion and Chet. I could see BI going off. And then the Warriors, the in-season tournament debut, the Thunder are going to come out swinging.
And those
Chet-
nice new uniforms.
In the
Fancy
nice
new court.
uniforms on the new court. I think Chet gives the Warriors problems that night. And everybody was saying today was Chet's welcome to the NBA moment. That's going to be the NBA's welcome to Chet moment.
I love
I
it.
love this. Yes.
Give me
clip
2-1 as well.
Ooh.
Win against
I thought I was
Detroit.
going to be alone.
Shea has a bounce back game against Detroit. I guess give me the loss to the Pelicans and then a win against the Warriors as well. That
Like
would
it.
put the Thunder at 4-2 for
Which
the
would
first
be
6, which would be
Fantastic.
awesome.
Really
I would
good.
love that. Beautiful. Let's take our next break. On the other side, we will go around the association before we are done for the night. We will be right back. And we are back. He's not here, but Silva, play the sounder. This is where Silva would enter the
I don't even know where he's sitting at.
no. Okay. I assumed it's
I
already played.
appreciate you all taking that, so I did not have to.
Yes. I
We know
assume
how that
Silva's-
turns out.
If you're listening to the podcast, Silva played the sounder for you. Gentlemen, I thought it would be fun tonight to do our way too early assumptions of the season. We're 2 to 3 games in. We've seen enough. We've got it figured out. Hit me with your biggest assumptions, grand takeaways. I will lead us off. Might be a little bit of bias because I just saw them today. Sports books, talking heads, everybody wanted to crown the Celtics and the Bucks to start the season. I've seen enough. Denver's repeating.
Very hard to disagree.
Not
very
enough
hard to
talk
disagree.
about the struggle with continuity with bringing in a brand new big guy like Dame to try to incorporate into your team, or Drew Holiday. I believe in continuity. I believe in chemistry. I believe in people who run it back multiple years. Denver's winning another title.
I love that. I think, yeah, based off what we've seen today, I buy that 100%. I'm going to go with a different route. Houston's giving OKC that pick.
You stole it from me. I
I
had
had-
that one as well.
I had
The
to
Houston
go
pick is protected 1 through 4. So where does it land, Justin? Are we getting
5,
up?
obviously.
Oh,
No, I don't know that it lands 5, but man, they suck. Dylan Brooks,
Fantastic
it
one.
makes me so happy to see him look so bad.
have you seen the
Dylan
clip?
the villain. The clip tonight with Curry,
Yeah.
hilarious.
I've been off the
I was
grid.
watching that game on League Pass, and I was
Dude.
like, "Oh my God, Dylan Brooks has got to go take off his shoes and leave the stadium."
Dylan Brooks looks
He
like
got
somebody who's never
Fried
played
up.
2K
Yes.
before trying to
amazing.
defend.
That is amazing.
Overshooting, jumping at the wrong time. It was
Steph
bad.
running down the court doing the Home Alone was
So
just
good.
incredible.
So good.
Let's see if I can find the. Oh yeah. Warriors ended up winning 106-95. The Rockets are 0-3 to start.
0-3, baby. And their
Ooh, you
schedule
love to
is
see it.
tough. Justin, I'm
Love
right
to
there
see
with
it.
you on that one. That was one of my big takeaways. Rockets are cooked, dude. They
Cooked.
suck.
I love it. So I have one. It's a little spicy, but I think Karl Anthony Towns is going to be traded by the trade deadline. He just has to be. The reason is you look at this team, the Timberwolves are 1-2 now, I believe. Anthony Edwards he's playing extremely well, 22.5 points per game, but you're seeing the power struggle there between Rudy Gobert. Imagine that. And then you have Naz Reid emerging off the bench. You've got to give this guy a little more time. You got to give him more minutes, more opportunity to emerge. And it's just clogged when you have Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert and you're paying them $1 gazillion and whatever percentage it is of your cap. You got to get rid of one of those two guys I mentioned, Cat or Gobert. And Cat's the most logical, makes the most sense. I understand he's been there the longest, the loyalist, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's time to trade Karl Anthony Towns. Would not be surprised if that happens at the trade deadline.
I love it. I'll take another one. I think the Mavericks are a play-in team at best.
Oh,
A
okay.
2-0 undefeated Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, they beat
I'm with
the
you.
Spurs, which they were supposed to. To beat the Nets, they needed some like literal voodoo. Like Kyrie Irving was like drawing a ritual circle in blood in the locker room to get Luka to hit some of those shots.
That's what they do in Brooklyn.
At halftime, he was like going around the court with Sage and like,
Yeah, and Brooklyn is a fine team, but for them to have to win the way they did with that Luka performance, I don't know how much they're going to win.
a
Well,
big
speaking of-
3-point shot like Luka Magic.
Dude, that
and
was
that's
like
what
a
it took to
hook
win.
shot, hook
That was
bank
nuts.
shot.
It was unreal. Luka's I love Luka.
Luka's
I do.
insane.
He's
I
incredible.
don't think they've built a good team.
Agreed.
Speaking of us,
Derek
having
Lively
similar
hype,
thoughts,
overrated.
so I'm going to take the opposite angle here. I'm going to say that the Mavs are getting a home court advantage in the first round.
This
of the playoffs.
Briscoe native,
The
Homer.
Luka Magic and the Derek Lively experience. Kyrie can do whatever he wants. They don't have a lot of depth, but Derek Lively, I really wanted the Thunder to take Derek Lively, and he's been awesome. I think Derek Lively and Luka are going to be a super fun pairing all season long, and I think they overperform.
Okay.
Hey, I got to
Wish
tell you
would've had
guys,
that as a bet.
my preseason bet of the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. 0-3 for the Grizz.
Love it. Love it.
Stuff.
Okay, I got one. And actually, you guys mentioned the Mavericks. You guys mentioned the Grizzlies just now. This kind of falls into place here. The Pelicans, 2-0 start. Zion looks amazing. Incredible. Reminds me a lot of last season. When they were like,
Ooh.
first in the West until Zion got hurt again, and then they weren't. I think we're going for a repeat for the Pelicans, and they will tank once Zion eventually gets hurt again after the first 20 game sample size.
Hey, something's got to give because the Mavericks and the Grizz play tomorrow night.
Yeah, they do.
So my prediction, the Grizz lost to the Washington Wizards.
Yikes.
I just don't think the Wizards are great.
I don't know.
No,
Jordan Poole. I'm
Memphis
kidding.
is great.
Kidding. But yeah, no, that's probably another one that we can mention here as well. The Wizards have been playing well.
Yeah, good for
I
them.
don't see that holding up.
Same.
Their offense has been playing well. We'll leave it
And
at that.
Anybody have any other bold assumptions after the first week?
I will say I didn't watch a lot of league wide. I've been very focused on the Thunder and a sport that's not not basketball. It is football, unfortunately. But the Suns is a team I have actually watched a lot.
By Taylor right there. A sport that is not basketball, it is football.
It is football. How about the Suns? I think they are very deep. I kind of like this weird team that they've assembled in one season. If they ever get a fully healthy team with no load management, they're going to be really, really good. Maybe we're underestimating the lack of chemistry there. That's maybe my last one.
In the chat, we got Bulls are blowing it up as an early season assumption.
Blowing it up from the inside.
Yeah, got to have a players only meeting after game one.
That's incredible.
Thunder beat their ass so bad they had to hash it out for the season's even really off and running. I love it.
Sources saying the Thunder had a players only meeting after the Nuggets game tonight.
I was listening to the Low Post on the drive back from our watch party, and they were talking about the Bulls, him and Nikias, and Lowe said something along the lines of one of the players, I don't know who it was, said something like, yeah, we can't let that happen again. He was like, let what happen again? Lose a close game to a really good team? That's going to happen all season, buddy.
Hey, they were gassing up the Thunder. Nakai is saying top 3 in the West.
He did. That should have been on this segment.
Come on, that's a good point. What we saw tonight, I think you got to pump the brakes just a little.
Pump the brakes.
Just a little, not too much.
I might be more optimistic about the Thunder now a week in than I was 2 weeks ago.
Agreed.
Okay.
Totally.
Especially when you get Jay Will and Kenrich back. That size and that toughness is going to be massive for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't feel pretty good about the Thunder, guys.
I'm just feeling this push and pull of you could play Bertans, Kenrich Williams, and Jay Will off the bench, but instead we're going to be trying to also develop, right? Which I don't disagree with. I'm not saying I do. I'm thinking that push and pull early on in the season is going to result in some up and down games like we've seen.
When do we think we see Bertans?
I would say
you're talking about him it's an inevitability. When's he actually touch the floor?
That's kind of
here's what I do if I'm the Thunder. His contract is only guaranteed if he plays 70% of the games.
Correct.
That's also a great point.
Sit him the first 30% of the season.
That's actually a great point.
And then you don't have to worry about sitting him the rest of the year. You can play him whenever the hell you want. Just sit him that first stretch.
And you get that first 20 game sample size in of youth development, and
because you can play him as much as you want, and
then you're competitive. And then we're the third seed in the West, and we don't have to pay Bertans. Yeah, it's genius.
Big brain right there.
Chestnut checkers. Shout out to Pressy.
Beautiful. Any other thoughts before we get out tonight, guys?
I will be back, and it will be a back-to-back for your guy
back-to-back
here as well, as I will be in attendance for tomorrow's game. I'm really excited.
Taylor.
Yeah,
no promises.
Baby at home,
I will not be bringing the toddler. He is forbidden from games until he forbid from games until he
forbidden.
Forbidden.
That sounds German.
It does.
Forbidden.
Anyways, I'm excited to watch.
That's German
see if
for
they
4 babies.
Back.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you so much. Thanks to everyone who came out to the watch party.
Yes.
We had an absolute blast. What a week for the Uncontested. Just living on cloud 9. Just nothing but vibes, man. Incredible. You guys enjoy the next week of Thunder basketball. We'll be with you every step of the way. Make sure if you don't already, you're subbed to all of our YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of our accounts. Download the pod wherever you get your podcasts at. Drop a 5-star rating. Leave a little comment. We have it set up in our Slack channel where it always pops up whenever we get a new comment. And just makes my heart a little happy. So if you're in Oklahoma, stay warm, dude. It sucks out there right now. Enjoy
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, spooky season. We will be back with you Monday night tomorrow. Until then, and as always, Thunder up.